Welcome back to the program. A year ago, Elisabetta Franzoso told the world how, as an abused child, she grew up and went on to abuse her own daughter.
Her account of her violent behavior and road to recovery in the book Stella's Mum Gets Her Groove Back impressed many with its stark honesty and sensitivity in dealing with an issue still largely considered taboo.
Has life changed a year after the book's publication? Well, we have Elisabetta in studio with us to let her continue with the true story. Very good morning to you, Elisabetta.
Good morning to
you. Thanks for coming in. So it's been about a year now since your book has been published. What has the past year been like for you?
I believe an interesting here, but I believe the interesting started when I started to write, not only when I published, because many things started to change by the time I really took the decision. Of course, the year of the publication was interesting because it took me to be more exposed, to be sometimes also recognized by people around the pool or in the street. But that, for me, is not really the main point. Is it helped me also to recover a lot of self-confidence and go ahead of the fear of the judgment of people for sharing a story like that.
What did it do to you, or how did it help you by exposing such a part of your life and putting it under public scrutiny? Because a lot of the time many people would rather keep it quiet rather than write a book about it and talk about it.
I think the major thing that did to me, it helped me to find my voice and to really reach what I wanted, that is becoming true to myself. So this book helped me to say the truth to the world, but specifically the truth to myself, and so get out of my toxic shame.
Right, to understand yourself and forgive yourself.
Forgive myself, find really a good foundation for my life, and as I said, more self-confidence. Even, the work started to flourish, not because of the book, but because even in my work as a trainer and as a coach, I have changed something.
Right.
I'm getting out with my own integrity, my own sense of responsibility, and I scream that message quite aloud, and the people get it.
Yeah, I think many times people say if you want to overcome something, the first thing is you have to admit that you have to deal with it, admit that there is a problem, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But in this case, in your case, it's not just about you either. I mean, your daughter Stella was involved in this tumultuous relationship. Did you speak to her before writing the book? Did you tell her you were going to do something like that?
Actually, Stella is also one of the she edited it once, the book. She read through all the book. Yes, I think she was majorly the trigger that took me to this. But it's not only the abuse to my daughter. I'm here also to say that the abuse also in my family, with my husband as well. It's very important that we don't focus only on the relationship mother and child. A lot of divorces are there, and my life was really going into that direction. So yes, I discussed with Stella, I discussed with Leonardo, because my husband is also, discussing the book, and they all agreed. And for me, yes, it was, as you said, very important to admit first my own fault.
Right.
There are many books already on the market, and I made quite a good research in that area that talk about how I was abused or what to do if you're abused.
Right.
So my idea was really to come out with a voice that was saying, I am an abusive mother. I did that, and I did something to ask for help and to get out of it. And that was really finding emotional freedom by taking responsibility.
Right. But before that, you were self-abused, like you said. You were in Stella's position, and when you were a child as well. And many a times when we are talking about such abuse within the family, the victims tend to not want to talk about it or break their silence. So if families are in such similar circumstances, what is the best way to overcome such a problem?
The victim has to know, first of all, that she's not alone. A lot of issue about the taboo on topic like abuse and neglect comes because we live in shame.
Right.
It's the shame of the victim and the shame also of the abuser, the perpetrator. So eventually, I believe very much, and this is what I want to do also in the future with the book, is to build more education about the topic of toxic shame. Toxic shame is not the shame that makes you be shameful for something that you did wrong. Toxic shame is what makes you feel shameful because you feel that something is wrong in you. And this has happened inside a child that is abused, and insult also the abuser, because, you know, I can say I was the abused child, but I was also the perpetrator of the abuse.
Yeah.
And the shame, as I say in the book, was in me also as an abuser. So I was hiding, I didn't talk with my friends. I always thought, next time is going to be better. This time I'm going to overcome this. But every time I was going back to that cycle. And I think the other tool that you can use is eventually to find the courage. And the courage means also embracing the fear, right? To ask for help. And this is what I did. I asked for help in counseling. I think counseling is a school now that is more and more available also in Singapore. When I came here in '95, there was very, very little. Now there are, you know, schools that promote counseling, psychology. So educating ourselves about, you know, counseling, psychology, these are not things that are, you know, are so scary, that they should be so scary today. It's not only if you're mentally healed. I was not mentally healed. I mean, the proof that I'm here means that, you know, I could recover from whatever happened to me.
It's very tough, sorry. I mean, I guess, especially in an Asian culture, furthermore, where we're a bit more conservative and you don't want to see a counselor because people think, oh, maybe there's something wrong with that person. So the students themselves, the young kids, may be afraid to go into the room. And then to of course, embark to then say, let me tell you about my problems. It's very difficult. I mean, was there a turning point for you? Was there something that happened that made you finally decide to deal with things?
Yeah, it was exactly when my daughter once, I talk about this in a chapter, came in front of me after being beaten up by me, and she asked for forgiveness with her tears. And in her, I was able to see myself when I used to do the same with my mom. And my mom used to refuse me forgiveness if I didn't, you know, bend on my knees and said, "Mommy, excuse me for what I did." So that day I really felt overwhelmed by shame. And it was like a voice inside of me that said, it's time that you ask for help. I went to see a psychologist, one of my first therapists in '97, and he was from San Francisco, he's not here anymore. And he told me, Elisabetta, somehow you were enlightened. Something came to you and you were not able to, you know, stop that voice anymore. But can I come back to you and challenge a little bit what you say, when you say, especially in Asia, I'm Italian, and I believe that is also in Italy. And when I train people over the world, coach people all over the world, and everybody has got issue with shame or losing faith. Again, I believe very much that is a global issue. We need eventually to find the courage to let go of the fear, and knowing what is, again, focusing more. Being a coach, I say focus more on what can be the result. If you eventually overcome the fear of and the shame and you get real. What I got back my marriage. I got back, you know, a relationship with my daughter that would have been definitely so bad, like mine with my mom after what happened. And I got a passion for my work. I also find really passionate what I'm doing. And I got my health back. I'm plenty of energy. I see doctor only for some checkup. It's fantastic.
You need to realize that's the best thing you can do to yourself, because if you remain silent and don't come out to admit it, you're just putting yourself in deeper shame, and that's something they need to realize.
Toxic. Yeah. Toxic, negative, and it can also affect your health.
Well, thank you so much, though, Elisabetta, for joining us. And I know you brought in your book.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so if you want to read more of her story, you can always get Stella's Mom Gets a Groove Back. Might just provide you with more insights if you happen to be, you know.
I think the main thing is don't be afraid. Don't think you're the only one. Now there are many resources. Go online, look it up. There's always a support group or someone you can speak to about issues that you may be having difficulty dealing with.
That's right. And if you're in Singapore and you are also keen to be part of the book's first year anniversary celebrations on 16 September, do email to info@insideoutyou.com for more details. And I understand that 16 September is also Stella's birthday.
That's right. She turned 17 this year.
Yeah.
So there you
and
go.
Can I say that Dr. William Tam will be also guest speaker of the event?
Okay.
So, you know, if
you have time in Singapore,
you
make a trip out. On that note, we're going to take off for a short break here on Prime Time. I almost said goodbye. We're still another half hour, so we'll just take a quick break, back in 2 minutes.
We'll see you in a bit.